I asked 334 backpackers what sleeping pad beginners should buy, and the #1 answer wasn't even close. But here's the weird part. That same survey also shows why the #1 answer might be wrong for a lot of beginners. Because when experienced backpackers answer a question like this, they usually don't answer with, "What should I buy first?" They answer with, "What I wish I would have bought when I first started out." And these are not always the same thing. So in this video, I'm going to show you the 5 most recommended sleeping pads from the survey. Talk about why those pads got picked, and then tell you what I think a beginner should actually do if they don't want to waste money, freeze at night, or end up hating backpacking because you feel like you bought the wrong thing. And just so we're clear from the start, I'm not here to tell you guys what to buy. I don't really consider myself as a guru. I'm just a regular guy who asked a lot of backpackers a question, looked at the data, and I'm trying to make sense of it from the perspective of a beginner. If you're new here, I'm Ricky, and this is your trail buddy. And on this channel, I try to make backpacking feel a little less overwhelming, especially for people who are just getting started. This is part of my bigger beginner gear survey that I started at the first of the year, where I've been asking backpackers what they recommend, what they regret buying, and what beginners should actually get. And one thing that I've noticed over and over in this project is this. The people who are answering these questions are often not beginners. Now, why does that matter, you ask? Because the survey demographics here lean to a more older and experienced crowd. A lot of the people who answered the survey have years of experience. A big chunk had over 100 nights on trail. And most of the people who responded were over 40. So right away, we need to keep one thing in mind. These are not random Amazon shoppers. These are people who have already gone through the trial and error phase. That makes all of this data really useful. But it also means that it's filtered through experience. And experience can be helpful, but experience can also create a bias. Here's why sleeping pads are such an interesting category. With tents and backpacks, beginners can get away with going cheaper in the beginning. Yeah, maybe they're a little heavier, and maybe they may not be your forever piece of gear, but they still work. Whereas sleeping pads are different, because when you get a sleeping pad wrong, you usually notice it on the first night. You end up getting cold. Your hips start hurting. Maybe you slide around all night, or the pad starts leaking. Or even worse so, the pad is so loud that it wakes you up multiple times throughout the night. So in the morning, you wake up feeling like crap. And now your whole trip ends up feeling harder than it really needed to. So this might actually be one of the categories where comfort matters a lot earlier than most people are used to. But even then, this doesn't mean that every beginner needs to jump right to the most amazing pad on the market. That's where all this really starts to get interesting. So let's look at the survey. These were all type-in responses. So I had to group together spelling mistakes, model variations, and people naming slightly different versions of the same pads. So I'm not trying to pretend that the data is perfect. This is just me trying to make the data useful. And here are the 5 most chosen sleeping pads from the survey. Coming in at number 5, Trekology, especially the UL80. And honestly, this one makes sense, because this is the kind of response I would expect from somebody trying to balance 3 things: price, comfort, and low risk. This is not a sexy answer. This is not the favorite pad of thru hikers. This is an answer from people who know a beginner might not want to spend a fortune just to see if they like the sport. But to me, that's the appeal here. It's accessible. It's way less intimidating financially. And for somebody who's just testing out the hobby, that matters a lot. Now here's the downside. This is where you end up giving up something in the long run. Maybe give up durability, maybe insulation, maybe warranty, or maybe just overall refinement. So I wouldn't call this the best pad overall, but I would call it the most realistic, beginner-friendly answer in the entire survey. At number 4, we have the REI Helix. This one really fits for the same reasons that the REI Flash 55 fit for the backpack portion of the survey. It's not just about the pad itself. It's about the whole buying experience. If you're brand new, being able to walk in the doors of REI and see the item, touch the item, and maybe even catch it on sale, and know that you could actually return it if something actually goes wrong, that ends up lowering the stress a lot. And beginners need less stress, not more. That's one of the reasons why I think REI gear fits really well with beginner discussions. Not because it's always the lightest, not because it's always the coolest, but because it often feels like a safer choice. And if you're just getting started, sometimes the safer decision is the right decision. So I totally understand why the Helix showed up this high in the survey. It feels like the kind of pad that people would recommend when they want a beginner to have a good first experience, without really pushing them straight into the deep end yet. At number 3, we've got the Exped. Now this one's really interesting because the Exped votes were really all over the place. Some people chose the Ultra series, some people chose the Dura series. And everybody picked a different R value for what a beginner should start with. So this is more of a brand family result than one single exact pad dominating the survey. And the reason why Exped did really well, I think it's pretty simple. People trust Exped for a more comfortable warmth and just a more confidence-inspiring sleep setup. And that ends up being a big thing for beginners. Because if you've never backpacked much before, one of the scariest parts of the whole thing is nighttime. You're worried about being cold. You're worried about being uncomfortable. And you even get out there and worry about whether or not you brought the right gear. Exped feels like one of those recommendations that says, hey, let's help this person have a great night's sleep. And that's one of the things I respect about them. The only catch is that when you start to get into some of the Exped options, the price can start moving up pretty fast. So again, this is where the survey really starts to show some tension. Experienced hikers are recommending some really quality gear, but not always gear that lines up really well with the beginner's budget. At number 2, the Therm-a-Rest NeoAir XLite. There's no real surprise here at all. This is one of the most established backpacking pads out there. It's lightweight, it's proven, and it's really packable. A ton of experienced backpackers have used some version of this for years. So of course it ended up showing up high on the results. If you asked experienced hikers what works, the XLite is almost always going to be in the discussion. And this is where I want to chill out for just a minute. Because the XLite is a great example of how the survey results can be both true and not the full story. Is it a good pad? Absolutely. Do a lot of experienced backpackers love it? Yes, they do. Would I automatically tell every beginner to go out and buy one? No, I wouldn't. Because some beginners care more about absolute comfort than weight. Some can be really rough on gear. Some sleep cold. Some don't even know if they love backpacking enough yet to justify premium gear. So the XLite being number 2 in the survey makes total sense. But I still don't think that most recommended always means best first purchase for beginners. And the number 1 sleeping bag from the survey, and it's by a pretty big margin, was the NEMO Tensor. And honestly, I get it. I really do. I actually own 2 of them. Because when people talk about why they love the Tensor, it normally comes down to a couple things. It's really comfortable, and it sleeps really well, which causes it to feel more premium. And a lot of people just simply trust the company. And when you're a beginner, that matters, because comfort is a huge deal, especially for new backpackers. Because when somebody says, I tried backpacking and I hated it, sometimes what they really mean is I slept like crap and it just ruined my trip. So if the Tensor helps more people avoid that, I understand why it got way more votes. But now we need to talk about the catch. The catch is not that the Tensor is bad. The catch is that most beginners are not buying gear in the same headspace as the people who are recommending it. And that's where I think the disconnect is. Because once you've backpacked for years, It's really easy to forget what it's like in the beginning stages. When you're experienced, you end up thinking, get the good stuff first, because your sleep matters. A lot of people even say, buy once, cry once. And sometimes that's true. I even catch myself saying that. But beginners are usually thinking something very different. They end up thinking about things like, how much is this entire hobby gonna cost me? What if I buy all this stuff and barely use it? What if I don't even know what I like yet? And that's why the #1 pad in the survey may not be the right pad for everyone. Not because it's bad, but because it may be answering the wrong question. It may actually be answering the question of, what pad do experienced backpackers trust? Instead of, what should a beginner with limited funds buy first? Those are different questions. But this is where the survey gets really helpful, because the budget question matters a lot here. When people say that a full beginner kit should stay within a reasonable range, that changes how we think about sleeping pads a little bit. If someone's trying to build their entire setup without going broke, dropping a huge chunk of that budget on a pad might be the wrong move, especially if they need a pack, shelter, quilt, sleeping bag, stove, clothes, and all that little stuff starts to add up fast. At the same time, I also think sleeping pads is one of those things that you don't want to go too cheap on. So this is not one of those just buy the cheapest thing that you can find kind of talks, because sleep does matter way too much. And that leads to what I think is the best way to interpret this whole survey. I think there's really 3 types of beginners when it comes to sleeping pads. Beginner type #1, the test the hobby beginner. This person doesn't know yet if backpacking is going to become a real part of their life yet. They just want to get out there. And for this person, the goal is not perfection. The goal might just be low risk. And that ends up meaning don't overspend, but also don't buy garbage. This is where something that's more budget-minded can make sense. Maybe a Trekology style option. Maybe a budget nature hike style option. Maybe it's better to borrow gear, or even shop used gear. I would focus on getting something insulated enough, comfortable enough, and not stupid expensive. And that leads us to beginner type #2, the committed beginner. This person already knows they like backpacking. Maybe they've even done a couple trips. Maybe they've rented some gear, and maybe they already know they're hooked. This person can justify spending more because they're not just guessing anymore. This is where something like the REI Helix makes a lot more sense. Possibly even certain Exped options. Maybe even a premium pad if you catch it on sale. This is the category where value and confidence matter more than going the cheapest. Beginner type #3, buy once, cry once. This is the person that has the money and has done the research and already knows that they want a better long-term setup. This is where the NEMO Tensor and the Therm-a-Rest XLite make a lot of sense. Not because everybody out there needs them, but because for this specific person, buying a better pad may actually save them from having to buy twice. So again, there isn't one perfect beginner answer. There's different answers for different people. And to me, that's the real lesson in this survey. And this is the part where I want to be really careful, because I'm not making this video in order to tell you what beginners should actually buy. That's not what I'm trying to do here. I don't really think that I'm above anybody here. I don't want to pretend that I've solved backpacking. I'm just trying to take what hundreds of backpackers said and then filter it through the lens of what it feels like to be actually new. Because I think that's what beginners need more of online. Not just people yelling their favorite gear. Not just someone saying, hey, buy what I bought. But actual context. Who is this for? When does this make sense? And that's the part that I really care about the most. So if you want my simple rule after looking at all of this data, don't buy the cheapest pad you can find. But don't assume that the most recommended sleeping pad is the perfect answer either. Instead, ask yourself, how serious am I right now? How much of my total budget can I realistically put into sleep? Do I care more about cost, store support, warmth, comfort, or long-term performance? Because once you answer these questions honestly, your choice ends up getting a whole lot easier. So if we recap the survey's most recommended sleeping pads for beginners, the list looks a lot like this. Number 5, Trekology. Number 4, REI Helix. Number 3, the Exped family. Number 2, the Therm-a-Rest NeoAir XLite. And number 1, the NEMO Tensor. And if nothing else, I think that list tells us something really useful. Experienced backpackers care a lot about making sure beginners get good quality sleep. And I think that's a great thing. But beginners still need to make those choices based off of their budget, their comfort needs, and their level of commitment. So now I want to hear from you. If you're a beginner, what sleeping pad are you thinking about buying right now? And if you've been backpacking for years, what sleeping pad do you recommend and why? Not just the brand name, but the why. And who is it actually good for? And if you want to be a part of this survey project, it's still open. I'm keeping it running for a year. And at 6 months, I'm going to be giving away some free gear to a special few of those of you that have filled out the survey. And as the data grows, I'm going to keep doing videos like this to share everything with you guys. So thanks for hanging out with me, guys. I really do hope this was useful. And as always, guys, I hope I see you out on the trail.